إن شاء الله. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا وأنت خير الراحمين. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. اللهم اهدنا واهد بنا واجعلنا سببا لمن اهتدى وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. So continuing inshallah on the topic of the seerah of Yusuf alayhi salam, the seerah of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. And if you have the Quran, it's easier to follow because you can read the ayat that I'm going through. You can go back and review them when you go home. If you're trying to memorize it, it makes it a little bit easier to memorize, inshallah, when you're able to follow along. So, for those that were here last time, let me ask a couple of questions, just as a quick refresher, because we really only covered 3 ayat or so last time. What are some of the special characteristics of the surah? Can anyone remember? The surah has some special characteristics. What are they?
One detailed story.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the only story of the Prophet or Messenger in the Quran that is complete end to end in order of events. In order of events. Like if you look at Musa alayhi salam, for example, many stories of Musa with different parts of emphasis in the Quran. Nuh alayhi salam mentioned many times in the Quran, also with different emphasis, right? But Surah Yusuf is unique in that it has the whole story of Yusuf alayhi salam in order of the events that occurred. So that's one. What's another one?
No mention of Akhirah.
No mention of Akhirah, no mention of Jannah or Nar. No mention of Jannah. The Quran is here to remind us of Jannah and Nar, and yet in this surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not speak about Jannah or Nar. Okay. And remember we mentioned briefly when this was revealed. Does anyone remember? Most of the scholars say there was a specific year when it was revealed. Do you remember what year that was?
Year of sorrow.
The year of
sorrow.
Yeah. What's referred to as sometimes in the Muslim Huzn. Yeah, which is the year that the Prophet ﷺ went to Ta'if. It was the same year that his wife, our mother Khadija radiallahu anha, passed away, the same year that his uncle passed away who was defending him. So there was a lot of events in fairly short order in the life of the Prophet ﷺ that were very tough. They were very hard events. And so ending, it's a happy ending story. The story has a happy ending, right? And so this is to uplift the Prophet ﷺ, to show him that even other messengers that came in, that started off, with a tougher situation, they also had a happy ending, in their life events, and this is what happens in the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. So just as a quick recap, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts off with Alif Lam Ra. Alif Lam Ra are Arabic letters, and whenever we see this in the Quran, what is the immediate thing that's mentioned after? So Alif Lam Ra, Alif Lam Mim, Kaf Ha Ya Ain Sad. Surah Maryam, for example. What's immediate Hamim? What is mentioned immediately after when we see this in the Quran? The Quran itself. The Quran itself. So in this surah, Alif Lam Ra, Tilka Ayatul Kitab al-Mubin. Right? So whenever you see the broken up letters of Arabic starting off with the surah, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala challenging the Arabs of the time. The Arabs who used to say we're masters of the language. We're very eloquent people. And Arabic itself is a very powerful language. If you know Arabic, if you learn Arabic, especially in detail, you come to see that Arabic is a very powerful language. It's very poetic in the way things are described, right? And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes to the Arabs of the time and challenges them with the eloquence and the beauty and the detail of the Quran. The detail of the Quran. Whenever you see this in the Quran, Yasin, Al-Quran, Al-Hakim, immediately Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the Quran after the letters are there, right? We talked about this notion of Al-Kitab al-Mubin. By the way, what's the other thing that we learn about these broken letters and then what comes after? It's the everlasting miracle of the Prophet ﷺ. Other religions, they will say Musa alayhi salam split the sea. Is it true? Yes, 100%. We believe it 100% because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says so in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or we can say Isa alayhi salam brought back the dead by Allah's permission. Is it true? Yes. But how many people saw this? How many people saw that? How many people can read the Quran? So until today, we have the miracle of Allah in front of us, which is the Holy Quran, right? And we talked about this notion of al-mubin. This is also mentioned in other surah in the Quran, Kitab al-Mubin. What is mubin? Mubin. Bayin, so every word in Arabic you can break down into 3 letters, right? The root of the word. So mubin comes from 3 letters, ba, ya, and nun, bayin, right? Which means what? Clear. But mubin has a more powerful meaning. This is part of the power of the Arabic language, which is it's clear of itself and it's clarifying. The book is clear. There's no. I don't have to know mathematics and geometry to understand the Quran. That's one meaning. But what's the other meaning of clarifying? What does it clarify for us? Our lives, how we live, our minds, our hearts. It clarifies why we exist. Living in this country, you hear a lot of people say, "What's the meaning of life?" Muslims are not confused about what's the meaning of life. We know what the meaning of life is. The meaning of life is we're on this earth for a period of time, after which we pass away. But the real life is the life of what? Akhirah. The life of the Akhirah. Right? So we're not confused about this. People may say, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala create us? What's the answer to that? Why were we created? Many people, non-Muslims, why were we created? What are we here to do? What's the answer? Okay, mashallah, and that's one answer, is to see which of you will have the better of the deeds. But what's the other answer? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and I have not created the ins and the jinn except to worship. Worship, what does worship mean? Worship doesn't mean worship all the time. It doesn't mean you stand in salah 24. Worship means we are all the acts that we do are what? Fi sabilillah. All the acts that we do. When we go to work, we are going to work fi sabilillah. When we go to help our neighbor, we are going to help our neighbor fi sabilillah. All of this can be counted as ibadah. Our presence here right now today, we believe. Does anyone see angels? We don't see angels. But the Prophet ﷺ says, when people are gathered and they remember Allah and they remember the Quran and they remember the verses, the angels come around them. The angels come around, they huddle around them, and they sit down and they listen. And they take the attendance of those that are present. They take the names. It's not just, Masjid Bothell, 7:30 at night in Seattle, there's about 12 people. No. They take down the individual names and they go up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't see it. This is part of life. But this is the blessing of the Quran. Brothers, you want to come over here? So I know you're resting on the wall, but I keep turning and not seeing you. So come. But I showered so you can come close, inshallah. Don't worry. Okay, alhamdulillah. So this is Al-Kitab al-Mubin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ قُرْآنًا عَرَبِيًّا لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then, ayah number 2, speaks about the fact that this Quran is preserved and revealed in Arabic. It's preserved and revealed in Arabic. So, does this make it difficult for a non-Arabic speaker to learn the Quran? What do you think? I'm from Japan. I speak no Arabic. In fact, I speak no English. What's the deal? Quran al-Arabiya. I don't know alif bata. What does it do for me? Anyone? Is the Quran just intellectual? No.
As it is said that it is according to the mental level. Whosoever reads it gathers whatever is to his
MashaAllah. That's great. So whoever reads it gets something. Right? It's just like studying math. Maybe I know basic mathematics. Maybe I know differential equations, advanced algebra. Right? So that's 100% true. Right? That's why Allah Subhanahu wa Taala says, Tadabbur of the Quran means what? Deep understanding and analysis of the Quran. And the deeper you go, the more knowledge you have. So that's why. But there's actually 2 answers to this question. One is the intellectual level of understanding, but the other is the emotional level. If you're from Japan and you understand La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, the rest becomes easy. You don't have to become an expert in Arabic or sarf to be able to understand. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has another surah called Ar-Rahman. Ar-Rahman. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say in the first 2 ayat of Ar-Rahman? Who knows Ar-Rahman? Ar-Rahman, Allama al-Quran. MashaAllah. Ar-Rahman, Allama al-Quran. And then what's number 3? Khalaq al-Insan. What's number 4? Allama al-Bayan. MashaAllah. So let's say you're working on a project and you're going to identify the steps of the project. This is all still talking about Quran already, right? The steps of the project. Say number one, let's say you're going on a trip to Egypt. Number one, I'm going to buy airline tickets. Without airline tickets, I'm not going to be able to go. Number two, I'm going to pack my bags. Number three, I'm going to take money. Number four, I'm going to do this. I'm going to buy presents for the family. I list the project items in terms of what's more important first. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ar-Rahman, allama al-Quran, allama in Arabic suggests that there's what? That there's someone learning, that there's someone teaching the Quran, right? And there's something to be taught. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that whoever comes to approach the Quran to learn, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives it to him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives it to him. It doesn't matter where you come from. Well, just on the topic of Japan, I brought this question coincidentally. I used to work there. I used to actually travel to Japan 10 years ago. Every 2 weeks I was in Tokyo. And I went to pray Jummah. And Jummah in Tokyo is the most amazing thing. Because Jummah is done in 3 languages. Jummah is done in Japanese first. The khutbah, first khutbah was in Japanese. The second one is in Arabic. And the third one is in Turkish. Because the original buyer of the Grand Masjid of Tokyo was the last Uthmani Sultan in the 1930s, and it's built like a small model of the Sultan Ahmed Masjid in Tokyo. So yes, the Japanese accept Islam. The Japanese accept Islam. So it doesn't matter what nationality you come from, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also, another thing, Quran Arabian. Can we say that, do we believe as Muslims there were other holy books, yes? Were they all preserved? No, none of them were preserved. Part of the preservation of the Quran is that Arabic is a language that's alive. It's not a dead language. You know, the Christians, what did Isa alayhi salam speak? By most accounts, what did he speak?
Aramaic.
Aramaic. Does anyone speak Aramaic? No. There's maybe 2 villages in Syria or Lebanon that speak Aramaic. But in general, it's a dead language. It's not even a live language, right? It's not even a live language. Arabic is a live language that people still don't understand very well. You don't have to, when you go to Cairo, you go to Saudi Arabia, you go to Yemen, and you ask someone what is Quran mean, they know. They know what this means. And no one says, oh wait, I have one. No, they understand, right? إِنَّ أَنزَلْنَا الْقُرْآنَ عَرَبِيًّا لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ عَقْلٌ. What is aql in Arabic? Aql.
Intelligence.
Ta'qilun, intelligence, or thinking. Whenever the Quran speaks about thinking and intelligence, it's always used in terms of a verb. A verb. It's never stagnant, which means what? What does it teach us? What does it teach us? Constantly thinking when we're reading the Quran. Constantly thinking. You know, Surah Taha, I'll give you an example. Anyone here in Surah Taha? Scene 1 of Surah Taha. What is going on? Just don't recite it. What is going on? Musa alayhi salam sees the fire, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him commandment to go to Fir'aun. Yes? Then what do we see in scene 2? What do we see in scene 2? He's speaking to Fir'aun. We understand that Musa alayhi salam came down from the mountain. He picked up his belongings. He took his family. He went back to Egypt. He passed through customs and immigration. He went to the palace. He knocked on the door. They let him in. What's your name? Musa. What's Musa? They went to talk. Pharaoh said, okay, let him in. I'll talk. We understand this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to think about what's happening. He wants us to think about what's going on. Don't just say to understand what's happening. Because the Quran has enough detail for us to know. But some of the details we're expected to understand. We're expected to understand it, right? Okay. And aql in Arabic, by the way, means to hold something back. Hold something back. So let me explain to you the difference. You know, we have this expression in Egypt. You'll say, you know, fulan aqil. What does this mean? It means they're not crazy. It means they're not crazy. It means they think before they act. Or they think before they speak. So aql in Arabic actually means to hold yourself back before you take an action. Right? This is the origin of the word, right? Oh, and another word in this one, and I know I'm going over last time. Anzalnahu. What is anzalnahu? Revealed, okay. Anzalnahu revealed from?
Sky.
From the sky. from the sky. This kitab, this Quran, right? Alif Lam Ra, tilka ayatul kitab. This kitab that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reciting to you is not from this earth. He didn't go to a library in Alexandria, picked up the book and took some notes. No, 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 no. This is coming to him from the sky. This is coming to him from Jibreel alayhi salam. Who is coming from? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. نحن نقص عليك أحسن القصص أحسن القصص أحسن نقص. What does نقص in Arabic mean? Means to tell a story in detail exactly how it happened. Qasas in Arabic means exactly how it happened. Exactly how it happened. You don't need to go and ask the Christians. You don't need to go and ask the Jews. This story, they don't know. They don't have it in the detail that you're about to be revealed. And by the way, none of the Arabs of Quraysh knew it. Unless you were, from the people of the book, you had no idea who Yusuf was. So this is all new. You have no idea, right? Okay. بما أوحينا إليك هذا القرآن. So again, it's a wahy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وإن كنت من قبله لمن الغافلين. And before that, you could not know Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So not only was he an ummi, but these stories are not stories that you knew. They're not stories that were new. What are other stories that the Arabs didn't know that were revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? In this level of detail, in the Quran. For example, Ashab al-Kahf. Did they know about the people of the cave? They didn't know about the people of the cave. This was new to them. Right? They didn't know this, right? So a lot of the revelation of the Quran is extra proof. And what is ghafla? What does ghafla mean?
Heedless.
Yeah, you didn't know it. In this case, you didn't know it. You couldn't have known it, right? Now, ghafla can also be used if you say fulan fi ghafla. For example, they don't pray. They're not worried about Ramadan. This is a type of life which is bad because it's a destruction of the heart. Ghafla means they don't pay attention. They don't care. This is called ghafla. Let's not protect us from this, right? Now, the start, we just finished 3 ayats. Okay. Has anyone here seen the Star Wars movie? It's okay, raise your hand. I've seen Star Wars movies. So let's all pretend like we watch Star Wars movies. You know how the Star Wars movie starts, and it has like the lines going on, scrolling upwards, like this is going on in the Galactic Empire, blah, 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 blah. And then the story starts, it zooms in, and there's like a big spaceship somewhere. You understand the scene I'm describing? Okay. What we have just been given is the setup to the scene, to the first scene. By the way, this is all throughout the Quran. You understand? This is all throughout the Quran. For example, Surah Al-Qasas. Surah Al-Qasas, Surah Musa alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sets up the story at the beginning in the first few ayat. He says, Fir'aun was a terrible man. He ruled his people in a very bad way. He created them shay'an, which means different groups. This group is better than this group. This is the ruling group. This is the slave group. This is this, this is that. So you have a mental image of what the society looks like. You understand? He gives us the setup, then he zooms in on the first scene. What's the first scene in Surah Al-Qasas? That's the very first scene of the mother trying to hide the child. The soldiers are now in the village, and the mother is trying to hide the child, and the baby is crying. And what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? An ardi'i, an ardi'i. The immediate impression of the mother, like you see in the movies, like, where's the spy? And the soldiers come to the house, they're looking for the spy. And they're like, hide them in the closet. Shh, don't say, no, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, don't hide him. What do you do? Feed the baby. When you feed the baby, what happens to the baby? They quiet down. And then what happens when the soldiers pass by? If you're still afraid, take him out. Put him in the basket, put him in the Bible. Right? So you get this. So this is now the first scene. The first scene is Yusuf alayhi salam sitting with his father, telling him what?
Yes.
I had a dream, my father, young boy, 4 or 5 years old. I had a dream, my father, open relationship with the father. And I have seen 11 planets. And the sun and the moon making that you're bowing down to. And remember I think I mentioned this last time. He says, يا أبت إني رأيت 11 كوكبا والشمس والقمر رأيتهم لي ساجدين. Why does he say رأيت twice?
Because he was kind of ashamed.
He was worried. He was afraid. He was like, how could you? He understood what this means. Yaqub alayhi salam also understood this. The son is, can you imagine telling your father, you're going to be, and your father is what? Yaqub alayhi salam. He's a messenger of Allah. He's the chief of the tribe. People are listening to him. Can you imagine having this dream as a child, right? رأيتوني سمعت. And قال يا بني. So his father immediately understands that this is special. Yusuf alayhi salam is special, right? لا تقصص, do not tell رؤياك, your visions, على إخوتك, to your brothers, فيكيدوا لك كيدا. So they don't plan something against you. They don't plan something against you. إن الشيطان للإنسان عدو مبين. Look at the adab of Yaqub alayhi salam. What does he say? What does he say at the end of this? He finds a way out for the brothers. He says, because the shaitan is evil, he's the enemy of mankind. If they were to do something, it's not because they're bad, it's because the shaitan is going to come and make waswasa to them. Shaitan is bad. I don't want this jealousy between you and between them to cause you any harm, for them to harm you in any way. Right? This is part of the adab of Quran. By the way, this is also the adab of the Prophet ﷺ. This is part of his sunnah. When people used to ask him anything, what did he say? He'd get up on the minbar and he would say, what about people asking about such and such a thing? Asking or doing such and such a thing. And then he would answer. He would tell them what not to do. By the way, how is this different to the behavior of the Prophet ﷺ when he saw someone doing something good? So we talked about something bad. What about something good? He calls them out. He calls them out by name. Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu, when he was funding the army to go to Tabuk, right? What did he say? He said, Uthman gave so much. It almost doesn't matter what he's going to do after today. He's given so much to the army. So he calls out people specifically when they do good. But when it was something bad, it's not from the manners of Islam to just call out someone by name, right? Okay. وَكَذَلِكَ, the following ayah. Whenever وَكَذَلِكَ in the Quran, what does it mean in English? The easiest word, and therefore. And therefore, وَكَذَلِكَ. And therefore, يَجِتَبِيكَ رَبُّكَ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will select you. Select you who? Yusuf alayhi salam. Let's select you. وَيُعَلِّمُكَ مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ. And he will teach you the interpretation of dreams. Yusuf alayhi salam had multiple miracles. We know about two of them very specifically, right? But one of them was the interpretation of dreams. Okay, so question, can the interpretation of dreams be taught? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَجْتَبِيكَ وَيُعَلِّمُكَ مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْحَدِيثِ. Can you go to Azhar and take a class on the interpretation of dreams? Or Mecca or Seattle, University of Bothell? Is there such a thing? The answer is no. The answer is no. This is really important for us to understand. The interpretation of dreams is a special capability given to the prophets of Allah. Given to the prophets of Allah. I know people, some people, the scholars wrote these. No. But scholars didn't write the books, and the books are not from interpretation of dreams is a special selective capability to the prophets of Allah. Right? Okay. And in Islam, there's three types of dreams. I think I may have mentioned this before, right? One is called hulum, one is called hadith al-nafs, and one is called wahy mubashir. I think it's okay. So hulum is what? It's a nightmare. So if you're asleep and you wake up and you're terrified and you're sweating, this is what we call a nightmare. This is typically from shaitan. That's why the Prophet ﷺ teaches us before we go to sleep to read, for example, recite some of the Quran, say some of the Quran to stay protected. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, an angel is posted by your bed to protect you from any evil that may come to you while you're asleep. Specific guard on us as a courtesy of saying some of these ayats. So this is called Quran. The other is called hadith al-nafs. What is a hadith al-nafs? And a dream from our imagination.
Subconscious.
The what?
Subconsciousness.
Yeah, subconsciousness. Like it's something from your own imagination, right? I dreamt that I was hanging off of the wing of an airplane and I was flying over Alaska. Yeah, that was probably just you eating some extra hot biryani before you went to sleep. And then went to the Prophet ﷺ. And he says, Ya Rasulullah, I dreamt yesterday that my head fell off my shoulders and I started to kick my head around. And the Prophet ﷺ says, don't say these things to people. Don't say these things to people. This is from your own imagination. Like there's no interpretation to it. You ate extra pizza before you went to bed. Don't say these things, okay? And then this last one is this ru'ya, this notion of ru'ya, right? And this is an example where the case of Yusuf, he wakes up, and many of the scholars said when he sees the 11th cut, it's a recurring dream. It's a recurring dream. You wake up and you remember it vividly. You remember it very clearly. This is a mubashir. This is a dream that has good luck. Did this happen to the Prophet ﷺ? Did this happen ever? Of course. When did it happen? Before he became a messenger, remember he would say, I would dream about things and they would happen exactly the way I dreamed about them. He would dream about things and he would wake up and it would happen exactly in the way that he saw it coming. This was one of the mubashirat of the Prophet ﷺ of his messenger, right? So dream interpretation cannot be taught, right? And this is one of the miracles of Yusuf that we hadith. And then the rest of the ayah, وَيُتِمُّ نِعْمَتَهُ عَلَيْكَ وَعَلَى آلِ يَعْقُوبَ. And to complete his blessings and through your interpretation of dreams and being set up for something special, i.e. a messenger of Allah, he will complete his ni'mah upon you and upon the family of Yaqub. كما أتمها على أبويك من قبل إبراهيم وإسحاق إن ربك عليم حكيم. In the same way that he completed his ni'mah to his grandfather and his great grandfather, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is certainly Alim, the most knowledgeable, Hakim, the most wise. Why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala call out Ibrahim and Ishaq? Why? Why does he call them out? What was the ni'mah for Ibrahim and Ishaq, first of all? What's the ni'mah?
Allah Ta'ala made him the Imam, basically as a Bisharan.
Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made Ibrahim and Ishaq the Imam.
Imam of the humanity.
Correct. What else? What's the story that we tell our kids since they're 3-year-olds about Ibrahim alayhi salam? The sacrifice of being thrown into the fire, right? It's the miracle of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Think about it, right? He gets thrown into the fire, he comes up, he comes out completely safe. Right? Comes out completely safe. Ishaq alayhi salam, there are many things that the scholars say about Ishaq. Some people say he was the first one to build the foundation of Islam. Some people say, there's a difference of opinion between who was the actual, right? Was it Ishaq or was it Ismail alayhi salam? But both of your grandparents were also treated very special. You are also going to have an ni'am similar to your grandparents. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we see these characteristics of Allah, Alim and Hakim, they matter. Every word in the Quran matters. Every word in the Quran. How does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describe Ismail? And how does he describe Ishaq? How does he describe Ishaq? وَبَشَّرْنَاهُ بِغُلَامٍ عَلِيمٍ. And how does he describe Ismail alayhi salam? In Surah Al-Safat, وَبَشَّرْنَاهُ بِغُلَامٍ حَلِيمٍ. Halim. What is the difference between Halim and Halim? So Ismail alayhi salam is Halim, which means a forbearing son, a merciful son, a kind son, a loving son. It doesn't mean the other isn't. But it just means that the predominant characteristics of Ismail alayhi salam and his ummah, including us to come after, is this notion of mercy and love and caring for each other and watching out for each other. This is the nature of Ishaq alayhi salam is alim, which means what? Very knowledgeable, very mathematical, very analytical. Right? And it doesn't mean that they don't have love, and it doesn't mean that we're not analytical. Do you understand? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He uses these characteristics or these words, it matters. Right? It matters. And this is the precision of the language of the Quran. Right? Okay. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقَدْ كَانَ فِي يُوسُفَ وَإِخْوَتِهِ آيَاتٌ لِلسَّائِلِينَ. Most certainly, in Yusuf and his brothers are ayat, signs and messages to the ones that ask. Who asks? Who asks? Who's asking? Who's asking? Ayah number 7. Sa'il means to ask. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says there are signs for those who ask. Anyone that is seeking knowledge is asking. Anyone that wants to know the story is asking. SubhanAllah, in my experience, I'm personally convinced of this. When people come to Islam or come to a masjid or come to you or come to any of us with the right intent of finding the truth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides them. They're coming to ask because they really want to understand. Versus they're coming to ask to fight with you. Versus they're coming to ask to argue with you. You understand? It's very different. It's very different. Right? So this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. This is a guidance to anyone that has questions or has, tasks. So now this was scene one. So we saw the scrolling of the start, and then we saw scene one, which was with the father and the son describing the dream. Scene two now, the camera moves to who? The brothers. The brothers are all huddled together. The brothers are older than him. The brothers are from one mother, and Yusuf alayhi salam and his brother Binyamin are from a different mother. They're from a different mother, right? So they consider themselves the gang, and those two are not part of the gang. Same father, different mother, right? And Binyamin was a younger brother to Yusuf alayhi salam. So Yusuf was the second to last. The last one was Binyamin. And Binyamin was still very young as this is happening. He wasn't even a year old yet, right? Okay. If قالوا, so they say, they're gathered now, the scene that we say they're having conversation over dinner, over a table. If قالوا, as they said, La Yusuf wa akhuhu, Yusuf and his brother, meaning Binyamin alayhi salam, or meaning Binyamin, ahabbu ila abina minna. Our father somehow loves them more than we do. They get special treatment. They get all the nice toys. They get all the nice gifts. They get all the nice, you understand? They get this special, somehow, we just don't like it. And then they rationalize this. They say, وَنَحْنَ عُصْبَةٌ. What is عُصْبَةٌ? وَنَحْنَ عُصْبَةٌ. Usba means a group, and typically it means a strong group. Strong group. We're more useful to our father than they are. Our father has a business. He has cows, he has sheep, he has this. We can do all the work. Yusuf and his brother can't do any of this work. They're too young. They don't understand anything. I know how to move the cows and the sheep. I know how to run finance. I know how to bring sales. What do these guys know? They don't know anything, right? Most certainly our father is at a profound loss. Now, what do they mean by ضلال مبين? Just to be clear. Because we say in Fatiha, وَلَا ضالين. ضالين means those that are lost or astray. Are they saying that their father is astray? The 11 boys. What are they saying? Sorry?
They're not able to see clearly.
He's not able to see clearly. Yeah, he's not able to see clearly. He's not able to define things. They know that their father's a messenger. They know their father's a messenger, 100%. So they are Muslim. These boys are Muslim. These boys are not kuffar. These boys are Muslim boys. Right? Our father's at a loss, man. He's confused. Right? Why is he doing this, right? اقتلوا يوسف. Now it gets really, really nasty. Right? So ayah number 9. Kill Yusuf. Best way to fix this problem is to kill him. اقتلوا يوسف. أو اطرحوه أرضا. Or get rid of him somewhere in the land. You know when people are like, I'm just gonna go out, I'm gonna take this guy with me, we're gonna go through the Grand Canyon, I'm gonna go and say, hey, let's take a picture. I push him over the hill, jump in the car and take off. Like nothing happened. I don't care what happens to that person at that point in time. Fall off the mountain, break their head, get picked up, get eaten by a bear, it doesn't matter. You understand? But at least I would have gotten rid of them in the middle of nowhere, no one's gonna find him. This is the whole problem, right? So the intent that they have is what? Is that their father pays more attention to them and loves them more. Is this a good intention? Oh, you say no. You guys are like, already good. How many will say yes? Good intention, bad intention. No, it's a good intention. I want my father to pay more attention to me, to play with me more today. Now, the approach, which I think is what you guys are saying, is a bad approach. So one of the things we learn from this is, it's not okay, for example, to go say, I'm going to go to the bank across the street and rob $1 million, and then I'm going to take the $1 million from the bank and use it for zakat for the poor in downtown Seattle. Not okay. You understand? So the intent may be good, but the approach is completely false. Completely false. You understand? And this is what this is showing. This is like some people think like this, even nowadays. Oh, I'm going to get an iPhone. I might listen a little bit to music, but my father, I want the 13 so badly because I'm going to read the Quran. I'm going to memorize the Quran on the 13. I'm going to listen a little bit to the music. But the intent is the exact opposite. Right? So this is what we're seeing with the brothers now saying. وَتَكُونُوا مِنْ بَعْدِهِ قَوْمًا صَالِحِينَ. And then they add something unbelievable at the very end. Now, these people know right from wrong, yes? Do they know right from wrong, or do they not know right from wrong? They know right from wrong. Okay, so all the brothers know right from wrong. So they know this is wrong. This is really wrong. And then what do they say at the end of it? They say, once you get your father's attention, تَكُونُوا مِنْ بَعْدِهِ قَوْمًا صَالِحِينَ. You'll be good people. How are you going to be good people? Tell me. How do we think nowadays? Like, do we think, by the way, just like the brothers? How do we think? Oh, subhanAllah, I'm going to mention something to you here in a second that I read just this morning. How do people think nowadays? So
we will make tawbah.
We will make tawbah. This is it. That's the answer. That's the answer. So how we rationalize things, even nowadays, is we say, I'm going to do this haram thing. Wallahi, Allah, just once. I know it's haram. I want to do just once. And then immediately I'm going to make tawbah. You don't want to take tawbah. You understand? This is their same logic. What's the problem with this philosophy? What's the problem? What's the problem?
They knew it was wrong.
They knew it was wrong, okay. What else? How am I guaranteed I'm going to live until tomorrow to make tawbah? How am I going to guarantee that it's not going to wreck my heart completely? How? So today I was reading, I came across this, like completely coincidentally, I don't even know what book I had, but it was a saying of a very famous guy, his name is Hassan al-Basri, very famous guy. He said the key reasons for the corruption of the heart, he's not talking about the non-Muslim, he's talking about the Muslim. Number one was this. Number one was to commit haram with the intention of making tawbah. And then what happens tomorrow? I'm going to do another little haram thing. And then I'm going to make tawbah. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to make tawbah. And you understand? So that's one problem. The other problem they have is this, what? Do they have the knowledge? They have the knowledge. Are they applying it? They're not applying it. Having the knowledge and not applying the knowledge is another big problem, right? So this is what you see what's going on with these brothers. تكون من بعد قوما صالحين. قال قائل منهم. So one of them said, and it is said by most of the Mufassirin that it's their elder brother. In fact, some of the companions actually named him, but names in the Quran are not important. So what his name was, no. If Allah doesn't mention it, it doesn't matter. But they have his details, right? What was his name, etc. He was the eldest of the brothers. He was the eldest of the brothers. He says to them, لا تقتلوا يوسف. Don't kill him. Don't kill him. وألقوه في غيابات الجب يلتقطه بعض السيارة إن كنتم فاعلين. He says, no, don't kill him. We're going to create another plan. We're going to throw him in the depths of the jub. What is the jub? Well. We all agree, well. Yes? Okay. So, a well in Arabic is called a bi'r. So what is the jub?
Darkness.
No, ghayabat is the darkness. so that's good. Ghayabat means the depths, the darkness of. So it is a well. It is a well. But a jub is an unconstructed well. It's an unfinished well. It's not an often used well. So let me explain to you what the plan is. Because they knew where this place was. They didn't just go, oh, what we're going to find. No. They knew where this was. So they lived at in the same way that today we have highways, they had highways. They had highways, not like ours, but they had highways and routes, yes? And these routes took the caravans from place to place. The caravans had specific stopping destinations where they got water and they got food, right? And this happens to be on the outskirts of the city, where the people of the city don't go to get water. If the people of the city go to get water, they're going to go to a constructed well. Easy to pull up, easy to pull down, the water's right there, they can find it, it works. The people coming on the highway get to use whatever is there, and this is the jub. This is the jub, right? And that's in fact what happens, right? That's exactly what happens. The jub means the depth of the jub. By the way, tell me when it's time for Isha. So this is the غيبات. يلتقطه بعض السيارة, and one of these caravans is just going to come and pick him up and get rid of him. They're going to take him to some other country, take him to some other city. We'll never see him again. There's no cell phones. There's nothing. Not to be able to get in communication with anyone, right? إن كنتم فاعلين. So they have the plan. Yes, we agree. Shake on it. Yalla bismillah. We're now going to go to the father. Okay, so now they go to the father. After they hatch the plan. Yaqub alayhi salam. قال يا أبانا, our father, يا أبانا ما لك لا. Someone read this word for me. Does anyone have the Quran? MashaAllah. Look at the shape. Look at his mouth. See how he closes his mouth? So this is part of the eloquence of the beauty of the Quran. The actual word is ta'manuna. Ta'manuna. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says ta'manuna. And that's how the Prophet ﷺ used to read it. That's how the Prophet ﷺ used to read it. Right? And so what are they saying? They're saying, yeah, our father, Yaqub, alayhi salam, why are you not giving us Yusuf? Why are you not giving us Yusuf? Right? That means, come on, we're going to take care of him. Why are you not entrusting him to us? وَإِنَّ لَهُ لَنَاصِحُونَ. Who's going to be better to give him advice? We're his older brothers, right? أَرْسِلْهُ مَعَنَا غَدًا يَرْتَعْ وَيَلْعَبْ. Bring him with us tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going out. We're having a picnic. Bring him with us. يَرْتَعْ, to eat. يَلْعَبْ means to play. It's a picnic. And this guy can cook kebabs, and this guy's going to bring the bread, and this guy's doing this. We're going to set up games. We have a volleyball net. We have all of this ready to go. يَرْتَعْ وَيَلْعَبْ. He's going to have a great time, right? وَإِنَّ لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. What does حَافِظُونَ mean?
Protectors.
We're going to protect him. We're going to take care of him. Don't worry about it. No one's going to catch him. No one's going to do anything. We're big boys, mashallah, right? So he now feels that something is up. Yaqub alayhi salam feels something is up. So he makes an excuse for them. He makes an excuse, right? This is now ayah number 13. قَالَ إِنِّي لَا يَحْزُنِّي أَن تَذْهَبُوا بِهِ وَأَخَافَ أَن يَأْكُلُهُ الذِّئْبُ وَأَنْتُمْ عَنْهُ غَافِلُونَ. So he says, I'm going to be very sad. He's such a little boy. He's this. He still doesn't know. And then, I'm afraid that the wolf is going to eat him. So maybe they had a wolf problem. It's like, you see now on Nextdoor. I used to live in Redmond Bridge. I'm still on the Nextdoor app. People are always saying, bear was sighted here. Bear was sighted. Bear was here. Bear was there. For people to be careful. So this is what he's saying. I heard that there's a bear outside. He says, I heard that there's a wolf outside. Right? And I don't want him to be, and maybe you guys are not paying attention. Maybe you guys are on the grill barbecuing to me. You're not seeing where he is, and then the wolf comes and eats him. Actually, he's a little boy, right? He chases after him. So they respond. They're ready with a response. Are you telling us that a wolf is really going to eat him? And we're a big group. Look, this guy's got a sword, this guy has a nunchuck, this guy has a spear. We're going to take care of him, right? We're going to be losers. If we don't take care of our younger brother, then what else can we do, right? So Yaqub reluctantly, we understand this. He says, okay, you can go with them. You can take him with you. فَلَمَّا ذَهَبُوا بِهِ. So they take him with them. وَأَجْمَعُوا أَن يَجْعَلُوهُ فِي غَيَبَاتِ الْجُبِّ. And they know now they're going to take him to the well and get rid of him in the well. وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْهِ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him. So let me tell you what's going on. The companions say of the Prophet ﷺ that as soon as they took him out of the house and out of the sight of Yaqub, they started to slap him around. As soon as they were out of the house, they didn't even wait to get him. As soon as he was out of sight of the father, slap him around, call him names, this and this, who do you think you are, blah, 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 right? And Allah subhanahu and we understand that he's thrown into the well, which is the plan that they have, right? Is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them a wahy that you will tell them about what they're doing. At some point in time when they don't even know him. He's still a young boy. In a hadith, I gave a series at the start of the year about the angels. And I was talking about the intercession of Jibreel alayhi salam with the multiple messengers of Allah. So roles that he played. We know the roles that he played many roles with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He played many roles with Musa, he played many roles with Isa, and so on and so forth. And one of the roles he's described is when Yusuf alayhi salam is thrown into this jug, he's caught by a man. He's caught by a man, and then this man is Jibreel. Right? So he breaks his fall as he's landing in, so he doesn't get hurt, right? Then they go back to the father. وَجَاءُوا أَبَاهُمْ عِشَاءً يَبْكُونَ. So they come to the father, عِشَاءً. What is عِشَاءً? Now, Isha, at night. Why do they come at night? Why are they coming at night? A, to make it seem like they were out all day doing what?
Searching.
Looking for him. So they come back to him like, repenting. You're not going to believe what happened. You know what you said? It actually happened. they take the most, you know, improbable situation of Yusuf alayhi salam. That's what they were telling the father the previous day. They take the most improbable situation, which is that he's going to get eaten by a wolf, and they say, "You're not going to believe this. He really got eaten by a wolf," and they're crying. Yabkun. So there's a full-on show. Aishan and Yabkun, right? قالوا يا أبانا إنا ذهبنا نستبق. What is نستبق? We went racing. So we were there on the picnic, and we decided to have a race, and we went racing, and we left Yusuf behind with our picnic gear. He was there with the meat, and the little refrigerator, and the water, and this and that, and we came back, and we found that he was eaten by a wolf. وَمَا أَنْتَ بِمُؤْمِنٍ لَنَا. What does مُؤْمِنٍ لَنَا mean? You're not going to believe us. I know you don't believe us, but that's the truth. I know you're going to tell me I'm a liar. وَلَا كُنَّا صَادِقِينَ. Even if we were saying the truth. Even if we were saying the truth. It means what? They weren't saying the truth. They were lying. Right? So even if we're saying the truth, you're not going to believe me. You're lying. Right? And Yaqub alayhi salam, subhanAllah, he knows. Like, he knows there's something fishy with the situation. Right? He's like, you guys don't look straight. You guys aren't being straight up with me about what happened, right? وَجَاءُوا عَلَى قَمِيصِهِ بِدَمٍ كَذِبٍ. Look at the eloquence of the Quran. دَمٍ كَذِبٍ. What is دَمٍ كَذِبٍ? Translated from literally in English. وَجَاءُوا بِقَمِيصِهِ. They took his shirt, and on it was دَمٍ كَذِبٍ. You know what دَمٍ كَذِبٍ literally means? A lying blood. دَمٍ means blood. كَذِب means lying. So they came with the shirt with a lying blood. What do we understand? It's a fake blood. Fake blood. This is the eloquence of the Quran, right? It's a beautiful way to describe it. And it is said that the shirt, when they showed it to Yaqub alayhi salam, had no holes in it. They made a little accident. So Yaqub alayhi salam looks at the shirt and he says, MashaAllah, what a merciful wolf this was. He ate Yusuf and he didn't even tear up the shirt. Like, and so, they had a bit of an oops moment. Which, by the way, teaches us what? No criminal plan, no matter how well planned it is ever perfect. No plan can ever be. If you're committing a crime, there's always going to be a mistake. They schemed this thing, they set up a movie, they told them we were crying, they brought the shirt, and still, they forgot, right? So Yaqub alayhi salam, he says, قال بل سولت لكم أنفسكم أمرا فصبر جميل والله المستعان على ما تصفون. What is صبر جميل? Close our ears. What is صبر جميل? Can a sabr not be jameel? Well,
without complaint, I think. Without complaining.
Without complaining. Because you can have sabr and you can complain. You can have sabr and you can complain. Sabr jameel is a very special kind of sabr. Very special kind. So this is where he's really not going to complain about the fact that his youngest, the one that he was just sharing the dream with, the one that he knew was special, when he loved so much, he was caring for, etc., that he was, he's no longer there. فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ, right? وَاللَّهُ الْمُسْتَعَانُ عَلَى مَا تَصِفُونَ. So this, by the way, this is a lesson for us. Yaqub's attitude towards a calamity. Yaqub's attitude towards a calamity, right? Like, he's basically being told his son just got eaten by a wolf. His son just died, right? And he seeks refuge in Allah. He doesn't sit there, oh, why did this happen? How did that happen? How could that happen? Why did it happen to me? Or the other mental states that we go, if I had not done this, this would not have occurred. If I hadn't gone to the supermarket, I would have had the accident at the intersection. I would have seen the red light. We have these conflicts. The Quran doesn't do any of this. صبر جميل والله المستعان على ما تصفون. ان شاء الله we'll resume next time ان شاء الله. شيخ قربت المغرب مش كده؟ قربت العشاء؟
قربت يا نص سادس.
Almost سادس عشاء? Okay. Do you guys want to keep going or do you guys want to stop? It's up to you. I'm okay to stop. I say in maths, this is the anti-boredom class. I don't have a curriculum, there's no exam, there's no test. So we can continue next time. Is that good? Yeah? Okay, it's going to go on. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا وانت الرحيم. ربنا ظلمنا انفسنا وان لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. اللهم نسالك رضاك والجنه ونعوذ بك من سخطك والنار. اللهم انك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم زدنا علما وارزقنا فهما. اللهم اغفر لنا ولابائنا وامهاتنا وارحمهما كما ربنا صغارا ربنا هب لنا من ازواجنا وذرياتنا قرة اعين واجعلنا للمتقين اماما واخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.